Hello and welcome. This is iBrand Daybreak. A wonderful morning to you. Yes, it's a cold morning here in the city of Lagos, and I know you must be shivering wherever you are. It's also a cold right here in the studio, and I wonder how my co-presenter for the morning is doing. Welcome. My name is Jidechi Chidezie. Welcome, Success. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Lagos. My name is Success Caminus. But then, contrary to what you said, some people might be cuddled up with a warm cup of tea or coffee, so it's all good. So today the show is packed as usual. We'll start with the news update and then move on to the newspaper review. After that, we'll have our topic of discussion, after which I'm going to bring to you entertainment news, and we wrap it up with the social media buzz and then the quote for the day, of course. So we'll just jump in right now to the news updates. And the one I have here says that bandits have abducted a yet-to-be-ascertained number of students following an attack on Kaya Day Secondary School in Zamfara State. Now, the incident occurred at about 11 a.m. on Wednesday in Maradun local government area of the state. A source within the government who pleaded anonymity confirmed the attack. The assailant invaded the school in a large number and left with the students to an undisclosed location.
Okay, now moving on to other stories. The presidency has condemned Amnesty International's latest salvo at Nigeria, regretting that they have decided to side with terrorists before the liberty of those they injure, displace, and murder. Malam Garba Shehu, the senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, made the government's position known in a statement on Wednesday in Abuja. The presidency was reacting to Amnesty International's recent claim that the federal government is harassing its critics and other militia. The presidential aide, however, dismissed the allegation, saying that the government will continue to fight terrorism with all the means at its disposal, no matter the criticism it faces for doing so.
Moving on now, United Nations has decried the high rate of human trafficking in Nigeria, attributing it to high rate of unemployment in the country. It also warned the government to build shelters for the return of victims of trafficking. Program analyst of UN Women, Aminat Tokpe, made this known yesterday in Abuja at a workshop organized by Clean Foundation in collaboration with United Nations Women. She urged governments at all levels to enforce stiffer laws against human trafficking to prevent consistent deaths and slavery of Nigerians.
And moving on to other stories, a new coronavirus variant of interest named Mu, also known by its scientific name by B1621, is being closely monitored by the World Health Organization, who the agency has said. Now, in its weekly epidemiology update published on Tuesday, WHO warned that the variant was becoming increasingly prevalent in Colombia and Ecuador, and had shown signs of possible resistance to vaccines. Now, Mu was first identified in Colombia in January 2021 and has since then been sporadic reports of cases and outbreaks in South America and Europe.
And here we have it. Egypt said Wednesday it plans to manufacture 1 billion doses a year of China's Sinovac vaccine, claiming it would become the Middle East and Africa's biggest vaccine producer. Under the deal with the Chinese pharmaceutical company, a factory in Cairo will produce more than 200 million doses per year to cover national needs, Health Minister Hala Zayed told a press conference. A second factory will produce 3 million doses per day, or around 1 billion a year, with a view to exporting the vaccine for COVID-19 and responding to demand in Africa, Zayed added. The move would make Egypt the biggest vaccine producer in the Middle East and Africa. And with that, we've come to the end of the news update. Coming up shortly is the newspaper review. Please stay with us.
Welcome back. This is still iBrandTV. Now we head straight into the paper review and take a look at what the front pages of the national dailies are saying this morning. Let me start off with the ones on the Punch this morning. And this one at the top of the paper, I'll take it from top to bottom. This one at the top of the paper talking about Nigeria's Eurobond. Nigeria's Eurobond debt rises by $9.37 billion in 5 years. You can find more of this story on page 17 of the Punch. Moving on to the screaming headline on the Punch this morning. This one is about the 73 Zamfara students abduction. ACF fumes as governor tells residents to fight back. That's the update on the one that concerns the abducted Zamfara students. Moving to the base of the paper, we have this one about PDP cries worsen, ward suspend second dose. You can see that one. That's about PDP. And just below it is the one about APC upholding Abiodu's Loyalists Congress. More and more news stories on the Punch this morning. But if you want to find more of that, then you have to get this paper.
Now we move on to the Nation. I'll take it from top to bottom. So there's more about the 73 pupils kidnapped in Zamfara and government shut schools. Oshun at 30, honors for Akonde, Alakija, Adeboye, others. Lagos candidate tops UTME results with 358. More details about that on page 3. And NDA yet to find kidnapped army officer 1 week after. Just above the screaming headline, we have Ondo doctors call off 3 months strike. You can find more of that on page 33. And the screaming headline there says, why Buhari fired power agriculture ministers. More and more stories here on the Nation newspaper this morning.
Okay, now we'll move on to the Guardian, the Vanguard actually, and Success has already read from one of the papers about the one that concerns the power and agric minister. So let me move on to the next one, which is a PDP crisis. David Mark meets Wike and Secondus. That's the one about the PDP, and you see just below it is the one about CBN contradicts Senate over remittances to Consolidated Revenue Fund. Now, taking a look at the major story on the paper this morning is the one about APC court stops Buni order caretaker excos. More of this one you can find on page 29 of the paper. And just below that screaming headline, you move on to the next one, which you see is outrage as federal government blows hot at religious political critics. Those are the main stories. There are lots and lots of other stories you can see as on the Vanguard this morning. And
now we move on to this day newspaper. So many stories being repeated here. So I'll just start from this one that says that court restrains Buni others from parading as APC caretaker committee members. And then it also says that it halts party's local government congress in Delta. The screaming headline on this day newspaper this morning says, in surprise move, Buhari rejigs cabinet, fires agric and power minister. We have lots of stories on here, most of which we have read from preceding newspapers. Make sure to grab a copy of the daily if you want more from these stories. And now moving on, we are going straight into our topic of discussion this morning. But before the break, every 180 seconds, someone is diagnosed with blood cancer. Now, to bring attention to leukemia and lymphoma, Congress in 2010 designated September as Blood Cancer Awareness Month, an opportunity to raise awareness on blood cancers and of blood cancers and the disorder. After the break, Dr. Dayo Adelabu, a clinical hematologist, will be joining us to shed more light on this. Please stay with us.
Blood Cancer Awareness Month was initiated by Myeloma Patients Europe. Every September, the world creates awareness on blood cancers. In Nigeria, one person is diagnosed with blood cancer every hour, every 20 minutes in United Kingdom, and every 3 minutes in the United States of America. Blood cancers affect blood cells and bone marrow, the spongy tissue inside the bones where blood cells are made. These cancers change the way blood cells behave and how well they work. In 2020, over 12,000 new cases of blood cancers were recorded in Nigeria. In that year, blood cancers contributed to about 12% of cancer deaths. Leukemia, myeloma, and lymphoma are the most common types of blood cancers. People who have leukemia make a lot of white blood cells that cannot fight infections. It starts when the DNA of a single cell in the bone marrow changes and cannot develop or function normally. Getting easily tired, little energy, weakness, pale skin tone, fever, easy bruising and bleeding, nosebleeds, bleeding gums, tiny red spots in skin, swollen lymph nodes in the neck, underarm, groin or stomach, enlarged spleen or liver, frequent infections. These and many more are symptoms of various types of leukemia. The risk factors for blood cancer are not fully understood, though it is believed that blood cancers develop from a combination of genetic and environmental factors. Smoking, radiation exposure, and exposure to chemicals such as benzene have all been linked to increased risk of some types of blood cancers. Epstein-Barr virus, HIV, and human T-cell lymphoma or leukemia virus infections are also risk factors for developing lymphomas and leukemias. According to the National Cancer Institute, amongst patients diagnosed with leukemia, 94% death rate occurs in Nigeria, meaning that only 1 out of every 20 Nigerians with leukemia survive. This is not a call to fear, neither is it a call to panic. Rather, it is a call to awareness. Live well, eat right, exercise regularly, be watchful of signs and symptoms, and most importantly, run regular checkups. Early detection is the best way to fight cancer.
Welcome back. This is still iBrand Daybreak. Now going into the main discourse for the day, you already know it's the Blood Cancer Awareness Month. Joining us on set this morning to dissect this issue is a clinical hematologist in the person of Dr. Dayo Adelabu. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, doctor.
Thank you.
So he came here with this his very beautiful shirt,
Quite
and he has told us already that it's for Cancer Awareness Month. So let's just move on. I want to know, who is a hematologist?
Okay, so a hematologist is actually a specialist doctor that actually specializes in the treatment of blood conditions or blood disorders generally.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So let's talk about Blood Cancer Awareness Month. The need for awareness once it comes to talking about blood cancer. Not many people know that there's a cancer of the blood. Why is there that need to make people conscious of that fact?
Okay, so blood cancer is actually one of the commonest cancers, worldwide. But the level of awareness, particularly in this environment, is actually quite low. So September every year is set aside as a month to raise the awareness about this condition, and also to ensure that people actually get to be able to know how this condition can actually manifest and who can have it, and also what form of treatment are actually available. So similarly, this month, September, is also Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. It's coincides with Blood Cancer Awareness Month because one of the commonest childhood cancers is actually some type of blood cancer. And so that's why the level of awareness should even be raised even much more, because this cancer affects children.
I want to know what leukemia, lymphoma is, but then let's just take it from a general perspective. What is blood cancer for people that don't even know?
Okay, so blood cancer is actually a very large group of cancers, but there are cancers that actually affect the blood, the bone marrow, and some other organs of the body that are associated with blood production, like the lymph nodes. So blood cancers, there are actually 5 major groups, of it. Of course, the commonest one that most people may have heard of is leukemia. But leukemias are not the only type of blood cancer. So we have another very large group, lymphomas, and we have myeloma, and 2 other categories that we refer to as MDS and MPN for short. So there are almost 200 types of blood cancer, different types of blood cancers that are known medically at this point in time. But leukemias are by far the commonest form of cancer, and other forms of cancers are also seen in virtually every population in the world.
So what is the difference, like leukemia? Let's take the 2 widely known ones, leukemia and lymphoma. Let's talk about them a little bit.
Okay, so for leukemia actually are blood cancer that majorly manifests in the bloodstream. Of course, they do originate from the bone marrow also, whereas the lymphomas are actually type of blood cancer that originates majorly from the lymph nodes. Lymph nodes are tiny, bean-shaped structures that are in several regions of the body, and they help to drain some fluid from parts of the body. So they are also amongst the blood forming and blood carrying mechanisms of the blood. So the major difference between leukemia and lymphoma is that leukemia majorly manifests in the blood, while lymphomas usually manifest in what we call lymphoid tissues, so lymph nodes, and even affect some organs like the liver and the spleen. But many times it prevents with enlargements of either those organs or the lymph nodes. Whereas in leukemia, it may not even manifest in any of these ways at all. But of course, it could actually lead to changes in the blood parameters.
Okay, so I'm now interested. We've talked about leukemia and lymphoma. I'm now interested. You mentioned earlier how there are about or possibly more than 200 other blood cancer issues. Are there ways one can check themselves to avoid having cancer of the blood?
So one of the unique things about blood cancers, unlike other cancers, is that the symptoms of the manifestation of this condition when they do start are actually largely very non-specific. So symptoms like even having an unexplained fever, most times even prolonged, to unexplained weight loss. So by those find that losing weight, unintentionally, to some swellings in the body, as I mentioned, lymph node swellings, so swellings in the neck, in the armpits, in the groin, You know, some can actually even be identified incidentally, perhaps while being investigated for some other conditions, and this will be, you know, actually detected. One other major manifestation of blood cancer that could lead to it being detected is actually shortage of blood, referred to as anemia. You know, so, you know, one of the common causes of low blood level, anemia, is actually blood cancer. Although we know that all of these I've mentioned, from fever to weight loss, to even, you know, having a very low blood level, there are several other conditions that could present this way. And that's why it's important that if one do observe any of these symptoms, it's good to actually seek medical advice as soon as possible. And some simple blood tests can be done to detect this early. So it's actually quite, you know, an easily detectable blood condition, and also a highly treatable, I must say.
Oh, okay, so who can get leukemia? Who is susceptible, and what conditions make you susceptible to leukemia, and then let's say lymphoma, since they're the major categories?
Okay, so starting with lymphoma, as I mentioned, this particular cancer can affect any age group.
Oh.
So, you know, some type of leukemias, like the one we call ALL, is very common in children. In fact, a child has, you know, has actually, you know, as early as say 8 months, 9 months, can actually be, confirmed to actually have this condition if the symptoms do manifest. You know, but it's also quite common in elderly, but virtually any age group can be affected. Including even one of the commonest cancers in adolescents and young adults, AYA cancers. You know, so there's really no age group, you know, or gender that is actually spared. Anyone can actually come at any time. Now, in terms of what may predispose to having this condition, you know, like most cancers, really, there are no known specific causes really of this. Of course, there are a number of both genetic and environmental factors that have been associated with the development of this condition, particularly in children. Of course, although it's not inheritable, but there are some genetic changes that may develop either during the child's development, even, you know, while still in the mother's womb, or even, you know, occurring immediately after birth. And this can actually happen sporadically. So there's usually no triggering factors. But some environmental factors, as I mentioned, and even some type of conditions can predispose. So we do know that some viral infections, like hepatitis, hepatitis C in particular, but also hepatitis B, and HIV infection, are actually associated with some form of blood cancers, you know, largely. But like other type of cancers, so exposures to radiation, you know, it can also be a predisposing factor. But many a time, we are not even able to really, you know, pinpoint what could be the predisposing factor. And that's why, you know, if one do observe some of the symptoms that we've actually talked about, it's important, you know, to actually, you know, seek medical attention immediately.
Talking about seeking medical attention, Adia, you also mentioned earlier how it's easily treatable. What are these treatment methods?
Okay, so it will interest you to know that blood cancers, as I said, they're actually quite varied. You know, some blood cancers, surprisingly, might not even need to be treated at the initial stage. So there are some type of leukemia. Say, for example, a particular leukemia we call CLL. CLL is a type of leukemia that is more common in the elderly. It's a slowly growing type of cancer, in which even in the early stage, we do what we call watch and wait. You know, because many a times individuals with this condition may not even require any form of treatment. So that's like on the lowest extreme. On the highest extreme, there are actually some type of blood cancers that must be treated within weeks of detection, otherwise it could be fatal. You know, so there's a very large spectrum because of the various types that there are, you know, different prognosis, different treatment modalities. But I must say that blood cancers are amongst the highly treatable and curable forms of cancers, you know, in the world, because, you know, unlike, say, in 60, 70 years ago, in which the survival rate for blood cancer was very low, the survival rates of blood cancer, you know, in recent times have more than doubled, tripled, some even quadrupled. So there's a very high, you know, possibility of cure for many types of blood cancer. Some are still very difficult to treat. As I said, some may not even require treatment at the initial, you know, instant, but, you know, over time there could be the need for that.
So you're saying it's not as lethal as it should be.
So blood cancer
he said it should be.
is not a death sentence.
Okay.
So that's the message real quick.
That's fantastic. So let's talk about money now, because when you mention, oh, go to the hospital for checkup, people start saying, oh, I don't have money to spend. So would you say that treating blood cancer can rack up the bills, especially when it's in the early stages?
Yeah, so one of the major challenges when it comes to the management and the treatment of blood cancer is that it could be quite expensive to treat. Because though the treatment is actually quite effective, but many of the medications are expensive. And the reason for this is not far-fetched, because many of the advanced treatments that actually increase the curative rates are actually specific treatment, which we call targeted therapy. So there are medications that actually specifically target the cancer cells, the blood cancer cells. And many of these, the technology behind them in trying to develop these treatment modalities are actually quite expensive. So, treating cancer generally, it's quite expensive, but blood cancer in particular, and that's why, organizations like, the one that I actually do, represent, actually are striving to, because we know that this is a condition that is treatable. But of course, because, of economic or financial reasons, many patients are not able to get the appropriate treatment that they should get that will ensure their survival. And so a lot needs to be done in this life. Even with Decries, we know that cancer treatment, even with breast cancer, with cervical cancer, are really quite expensive. But if we have more people investing in cancer treatment, many more people will survive this dreaded condition.
Okay. Doctor, you said a lot needs to be done, and you talked about people investing in cancer treatment. And what other ways do you think the society can actually help this treatment of cancer if it comes down to that?
So many times I do it in my foundation, the YTL Foundation, even, if you go across social, whenever, even those that may be a bit well-to-do, but, before this diagnosis, by the time they start on their own, with their families, having this treatment done, over time, they run out of funds, because I said it could really be quite financially draining. And so many times, you find people raising, doing some fundraisers, or crowdfunding, or GoFundMe, online and all that. Almost on a weekly basis, we get calls or requests for assistance from, several patients that have been diagnosed with this condition. We try as much as we can, through our donors, through our, our various benefactors, to see how we can actually support these patients in our situation. So, raising the awareness, letting people know of this condition, and the fact that, this patient can actually be saved. If they get the appropriate treatment, they can achieve a cure. So we can only continue to implore on, many Nigerians and other, companies and corporate bodies to assist this patient as much as possible. Of course, the government also has a very, major role to play. We know how our medical and health sector has actually been, in recent time, but a lot still needs to be done to make even treatment modalities, available for these patients.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dayo. This was so explicit.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, will I say explanatory, rather.
And he mentioned something I think is quite a notable factor, the fact that if you have blood cancer, it is not a death sentence. It's treatable. So, you need to have a little bit of hope to know that that's not the end for you. Thank you very much, Dr. Dayo.
Well, thank you for having me.
Okay, we'll be going on a short break right now, and when we get back, there's still the show that will be returning back to your screen. Entertainment Corner is coming your way shortly.
Thanks for staying with us. This is still iBrand Daybreak. Welcome to the Entertainment Corner here with me. Now, Wizkid has scored another major accomplishment outside the shores of Africa, and fans are super excited on his behalf. And the singer's song, Essence, featuring Thames off his Made in Lagos album, has officially topped a US radio chart, making it the first Nigerian song to do so. Now, the singer's third baby mama and manager, Jada Pollock, shared the great news with fans on Instagram. Now, a lot has happened since then, as even American rapper DaBaby jumped on Essence the Music to do his own cover of that song, which shows just how big this song is right now. She also shared the chart, that is Jada, showing that it is not a scam, and Wizkid's song Essence has also emerged the most Shazammed song in the United States. If you don't know the Shazam app, that's how you look for songs that you do not know. Yes, so Wizkid's song blowing up in the USA, and maybe if we could accredit this to Justin Bieber being on the remix, we will never know. But all we can say is Nigeria, stand up. Moving on now to the next story, where we have yes, now moving on to the story where we have our Crate Challenge. Yes, following wide condemnation, the Asian social media TikTok has banned the Milk Crate Challenge on their platform. TikTok issued a statement through the company's spokesperson saying they will not allow the videos shared by anyone from around the world, according to media reports. The social media networking company has banned the game where people are challenging each other to walk on milk crates. This started in the USA and has spread throughout the world using hashtag Crate Challenge. The game was also criticized by healthcare professionals. Some doctors argued that the game might lead to paralysis or even head injuries. This information was put out by the company's spokesperson. Quote, TikTok prohibits content that promotes or glorifies dangerous acts, and we remove videos and redirect searches to our community guidelines to discourage such content. We encourage everyone to exercise caution in their behavior, whether online or offline. It's been said that death has been recorded due to the Crate Challenge. All I can say right now is be safe out there. Jidechi, what do you think about the Crate Challenge?
Well,
is it something you would try?
I'm not gonna I've actually been watching the videos with so much disdain, because I'm wondering why get on something where you know you're gonna hurt yourself so badly. So this is to put it out, I've not been a fan of the Crate Challenge. If I've seen your video, I possibly didn't laugh at it. I just shake my head in so much disdain, because I don't know, like you said, a death has been recorded. I don't know why people just want to go on doing something that they will end up hurting themselves. So
it's just ridiculous, and I must commend
really
TikTok.
ridiculous.
I must commend TikTok for taking this bold move.
Okay, now we move on to social media buzz and take a look at what's been going on. Let's start off with this one that is about, that was the words of the River State Governor, Nyesom Wike. He said this some while ago, and social media users have always been reacting so hilariously to this one. But this one, I guess it's me and Success. I'll just react to this one today. Yeah, it's about, if you don't know what it's about, it's that one you can see on your screen right now. When Wike said, those of you putting up fake juju shrines along the road we are constructing to get compensation from the government, let me tell you, shishi you wouldn't get. It will not work. Tell your juju to come and see me. Success. I mean, Wike always have that funny side of him, and it's quite interesting to see that, to actually know, because I didn't even think it was a thing until I saw the statement from him. I didn't know that people actually do things like this. And the governor is saying, this prank is not going to work on me.
Okay, all hustle now hustle. Nobody should come for me. But that's just on a lighter note. I think the governor's humor is is one to look out for. And he's right in a way. Don't try to milk the government because they're constructing a road, and you know that if they hit down your juju shrine, they would have to give you small something. So you are putting a juju shrine that never existed, you know, and then he's coming for you and telling you whether you put it or not, ask your juju to come and see me. Period.
Okay, this other one is coming from another user, and the person posted this one. Say, one day you will have enough money and enjoy and settle your bills. All these sufferings will end. Don't shout amen. Go and walk. Okay, that's quite a twist to that one. I mean, I thought this one was a motivational quote on this.
So Nigerians left the group chat and closed down the WhatsApp group, in fact, and sold their phones, because we have people that believe so much in our faith. We really hold tight to those kind of things, you know. Nigerians are the happiest people on earth.
Yeah.
There's been a study that says Nigerians are the happiest and most optimistic people on earth. So, and I think a huge part of that comes from our faith and our belief system. So this person is really shaking some major tables, if you ask me.
Take it to this point and then bring you down and tell you go and
go to work.
You heard him, or you heard her, whoever put this up. And that's where we'll call it a wrap on the social media board section or segment of the show. It's been a wonderful time with you on the show today, but there would be a repeat broadcast in case you've missed all that we brought to your screens today, this cold, wonderful Tuesday, right here on iBrand Daybreak. Success?
Yes, Jidechi, it is indeed a Thursday, and I cannot wait for TGIF. Yes, tomorrow is Friday.
How I forgot that the weekend is here.
And so make sure that you go out knowing that this is Cancer Awareness Month, and pick up from all the things that you've heard from the doctor today. My name is Success Camis, but before we leave, we'll leave you with a quote as usual. And that one is coming from Aristotle. It's saying that knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. I'm not sure a lot of Christians will agree with this, but take it with a pinch of salt, would you? Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Today we are asking you to know yourself, and keep watching iBrandTV.
Yeah, keep watching iBrandTV. I mean, it's always one of the places you can get some early morning wisdom right here on the show. Like she said, it's been a wonderful day on the show today, and it's going to be a wonderful weekend when we get into the weekend fully. My name is Jidechi Chid Ezie. Ensure you stay safe.